Welcome to the Genuine Driven Women podcast, the show where we guide women to reveal their strengths so they believe and can achieve their desired greatness. This is episode 5, and I am Tammy, along with my co-host, Adelaida.
Hey everybody.
Today we are going to encourage you to take more control over the outcomes in your life. Do you feel like you are not in control? Maybe you believe you don't have the time to change some of the things in your life. Or maybe you feel like your family, job, school, or some other responsibilities are out of your control.
Maybe you have a teacher, professor, or it's your boss at work who is affecting you. Maybe you feel like they do not like you or there is nothing you can do about that.
Maybe something as simple as being a woman has you feeling like you cannot reach your goals or desires. Maybe this is because you perceive that you won't be welcome somewhere.
On this blog and our podcast, we talk a lot about goal setting, attributes of high performers, and how to achieve our own version of success. But none of us can achieve our goals or reach our dreams if we do not strengthen our internal locus of control.
Locus of control can be defined as the degree to which people believe they have control over the outcome of events in their lives, rather than external forces beyond their control. Julian Rotter developed the concept in 1954.
Basically, if a person believes that they are in control of most situations and can control their overall life, they are said to have an internal locus of control.
Yeah, and if a person believes they cannot control or influence outside factors, and those factors are responsible for the outcome of most situations in their life, then they are said to have an external locus of control.
People with a strong internal locus of control believe events in their life are a result of their own actions.
For example, when receiving an annual performance evaluation at work, people with an internal locus of control tend to praise or blame themselves and their own abilities.
People with a strong external locus of control tend to praise or blame external factors such as the supervisor or the responsibilities of the position rather than their own efforts.
And it is not so easy to say that internal is better than external, but generally speaking, a more internal locus of control is generally seen as desirable.
Psychological research has found that people with a stronger internal locus of control seem to be more success-oriented and tend to rise higher within organizations.
I have an exercise you can try if you want to take more control over your life. First, we're going to have you answer a series of questions called Rotter's Locus of Control Scale. I have a link to it in the show notes, and I'm going to also include a worksheet that you can download via the show notes to take the test in your own home. For each number of the questions, you will see 2 statements. All you have to do is select the one that you most agree with. Make sure you answer it as honestly as you can. Remember, anytime you are trying to make improvements on yourself, it will only help if you are actually honest with yourself.
Let's read a few pairs so our listeners can get the idea.
Okay.
1A. Many of the unhappy things in people's lives are partly due to bad luck. B. People's misfortunes result from the mistakes they make.
2A. One of the major reasons why we have wars is because people don't take enough interest in politics. 2B. There will always be wars, no matter how hard people try to prevent them.
3A. In the long run, people get the respect they deserve in this world. 3B. Unfortunately, an individual's worth often passes unrecognized no matter how hard he tries. Again, you can see the entire series of pairings and how to score the test if you follow the link in the show notes.
If you go to the link, take the full quiz, and your score is medium or low, you may tend to think things are out of your control and that you cannot affect your situation.
If you find that you have a more external locus of control, is there anything you can do to change to a more internally focused locus of control?
Yeah, locus of control is one of those attributes that makes up part of our personality, and it can be difficult to change. But if you are a parent, a teacher, caregiver, or some other person that has influence over small children, you can help them by encouraging them for their abilities and praising hard work when they demonstrate it. This may help them feel that they can use their abilities and good effort to change a situation as they develop and grow to be adults.
If you are already a teen or an adult and would like to change your locus of control, there are exercises you can do to strengthen your internal locus of control.
One thing you can do is listen to how you actually talk to yourself. Most people do talk negatively to themselves, but this can be controlled. You can teach yourself to talk to yourself more positively. And by this, I don't know, Adelaida, whenever something goes wrong, or if you maybe briefed somebody and you now are done and you maybe messed something up in the brief, some people walk away going, oh, dang it, why did I do that? That was so stupid of me.
Yeah.
And that's the kind, but you say it in your head, and everybody has these moments where you're like, oh my goodness, why did I shouldn't have done that, and you have to change that around to say, okay, wow, I really could have done a better job on that. So I'm going to go back to my desk, work on this step so that I can practice more for next time so I can knock it out of the park next time.
Right.
And try to turn it into something positive instead of just beating yourself up. Say to yourself the things that you could have done instead. And then next time actually take those actions so that you continuously improve yourself.
So it's the same with college, where if you just got out of a test and you're like, wow, I felt so terrible in that test. Instead of thinking negatively, you could think, oh, wow, okay, so that was a really hard test. Maybe next time I'll study a little bit harder or go talk to the teacher, think positive things that could, came out of that, having a hard test like that.
Yeah. And I also think in that situation, you might focus on the parts of the test that you felt very comfortable about. Wow, I really knew questions 2 and 5. Those, I really think I knocked those 2 out of the park. So
Yeah.
I have that information under control. And now all I have to focus on are these 3 things,
Yep.
that you can kind of switch it around instead of just completely self-defeating, like you're building a bridge one step at a time.
Right. This goes with the first thought. You can work on removing the words always and never from your self-talk vocabulary, especially when used in a negative way. I always screw this up. I'll never get promoted. Focus on the positive things you did today and think, it was awesome when my coworker praised my document. I knocked that presentation out of the park today.
Yeah, if you are, because you don't always screw everything up.
No.
Nobody always does anything, and nobody never does. Those are just such absolute words that you should hardly ever use them.
Yes.
It's hard not. You should never use never.
Yeah, you should never use never, yeah.
Yeah, but those are such absolute words, and they just almost anytime you put them in a sentence, it almost makes that sentence incorrect almost every time.
Yeah. I catch myself saying always and never sometimes. And I do think it impacts the sentence more negatively than you would have wanted it to.
Yes. And so if you just say, no, this was one time I did this, and yeah, I could have done better, but there'll be other chances, and next time, these are the steps I'll take to make it better.
Yes.
Just try to focus it, turn it into something that you can control. Another thing you can do is focus on your words and thoughts and reduce the times you say to yourself, I have no choice. Do not say, I can't. You do have a choice. If you take certain steps, you can do it. I'm not saying the steps are easy, but yes, you can. The truth is that it may be hard work and you should decide if you want to do it. But if there's something you want to do, then find a way to do it. I always find that when I do the hard work, especially when I thought it might be too hard, but when I finally attain my goal, it feels so amazing. So the more I succeed, the better I feel, and that helps change the overall self-talk in my head. It's a beautiful cycle.
Yes, it is. Lastly, you can work on maintaining a positive attitude.
I wrote an article about this on the blog. I'll post a link to that in the show notes. But it's probably one of the most important things you can do is just keeping a positive attitude every day. It's very simple to beat yourself down or to think of all the bad things happening in the world. I think we talked about this in one of our other podcasts, but you just got to let that stuff roll off.
Yep. It's pretty nice when you wake up and feel a positive attitude and just the whole rest of the day you're trying to have that positive attitude. I know whenever I wake up feeling that way and I try to keep it the whole day, I feel really good at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And it's just a nice feeling to have.
Yeah, and you can decide to put yourself in a bad mood. I believe that being in a bad mood is also a decision in most
Yes, it is.
In most cases. And you have a choice. I'm here to tell you, feeling optimistic and feeling good and having a positive outlook will change everything about how you feel. Remember, you do have a choice and you can make your life a better place. You just have to decide that it's what you want. And if you do want it, then yes, in many ways, you absolutely can control your future. Successful women back in time.
In the time travel segment each week, we will give you a few points about women that have accomplished a lot. We also will discuss a bit about what was happening to women during the time periods. One person we think you would like to know more about is Susan B. Anthony, a woman suffragist born in 1820. As she was growing up, she realized her purpose was advocating for women's rights. Although women at the time were not allowed in colleges, could not own property, and could not speak up at different rallies that were held, Anthony still fought for women's rights and was able to accomplish many things. On the Susan B. Anthony Museum and House website, they talk about how Susan ignored opposition and abuse. She traveled, lectured, and canvassed across the nation for the vote. She also campaigned for the abolition of slavery, the right for women to own their own property and retain their earnings, and she advocated for women's labor organizations. In 1900, Susan persuaded the University of Rochester to admit women. All of this fighting she did for women has truly allowed for them to continue to fight for more rights and be given more opportunities than they had before.
Wow, I think about it like Susan B. Anthony is one of those people that if she hadn't been born, everything that we know today could be different.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like, she's the one person that made a giant difference.
Yeah, she definitely made a huge difference. And I mean, I think it's awesome just, me going to college right now. She was, one of the women advocating for women to go to college. She was able to persuade University of Rochester to allow women to go. And that's just a huge jump in the right direction.
Yes. And I mean, this is more than around 100 years ago, or
a little over. Oh yeah, about 200.
Oh yeah,
almost. Well, no. Yeah,
118.
Yeah.
So 118 years ago, she got the University of Rochester to admit women, but that had to happen in order for women to be the demographic that is growing the fastest in American colleges today.
Yeah, that's true.
It's amazing.
There's more women than men at San Diego State University, which is pretty cool because, back then, none. You know,
if you're talking about a time machine, I wonder if Susan B. Anthony came to the year 2018, what she would think.
I know. I wonder too. I hope she'd be really happy.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to, it's kind of even hard for her to even imagine what she would think if she appeared right now.
Yeah.
So I had one of my friends at work who traveled to Idaho the past couple weeks. And he was in a more rural area of Idaho, but they were just talking about, work. And I think I sent a text message, and then he's like, "Oh, it's my boss." And she is doing whatever thing. And they said, "What? Your boss is a woman? What's it like working for a woman?"
Oh my gosh.
And so, even though we've come a long way since Susan B. Anthony's days, it's still it's just entertaining that there's still so, sections of people who are so surprised that women are in charge.
Like a boss or,
or a supervisor or whatever, yes. So, anyway, Susan B. Anthony, we're thankful for you.
Yes, we are.
The motivational quote of the week.
Don't compromise yourself. You are all you've got. There is no yesterday, no tomorrow. It's all the same day. Janis Joplin.
This quote is a good choice, Adelaide, because I feel like it goes exactly with what this podcast is trying to say, that you should not compromise yourself. You know why you were put on this earth. You know why you're here. You feel it inside of you.
Yeah.
And yet other people come and they try change you. They try to tell you that that's not what you're here for. They try to tell you you're wrong. They try to, all these things. But so do not compromise your purpose.
This quote for me is inspirational because we shouldn't have to worry about what others are thinking of us because, like you said, we know why we're here. And if you know why you're here, don't worry about what others are saying or, what others are doing. Don't compromise yourself. You know why you're here.
When you were in middle school, I think middle school is the worst.
Yeah.
I think that's a place where it happens, where your peers try to change you. And it's so important to fit in with them. So you kind of want to change because you don't want to be different.
Yeah, that definitely happened to me whenever I was in middle school. Whenever you're hit like 6th grade, 7th grade, you kind of learn about a lot of stuff, and people start peer pressuring you, drugs, and they start asking you, oh, do you want to, do this? And, at that point, that kind of, that compromises you. Are you going to do it? Are you going to become that person who does that? Or are you going to say, no, this is not why I'm here, and, choose to go a different path?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's even not, maybe it's not even something as bad as drugs. Maybe you're just like, oh, I want to be a Broadway producer.
Yeah.
And they're thinking to themselves or telling you, you can't be a Broadway producer. All you can do is go be your friends can tell you anything. You're never going to do that. And then they can laugh at you. All they have to do is just kind of laugh.
And then that kind of changes.
It changes you if you let it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, that's embarrassing. They laughed at me. And so you'll never tell them that's what you want to do again.
Yeah.
And maybe you quit telling yourself that over time.
Yeah. And you'll start thinking that. And then maybe you'll think to yourself, maybe I should just, Yeah.
So that's compromising yourself. And you shouldn't do it. Stay true to who you are.
Yeah.
That was a good quote.
Thanks.
Genuine driven women read lots of books. We'll make sure to recommend a book each week that will inspire you or help you on your journey to success. This week's book is Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. If you'd like to buy this book in any format, including audiobooks, click through to the show notes and you'll find a link there. There's an old saying that's mostly attributed to Mark Twain that says, if you eat a live frog first thing each morning, you'll have the satisfaction of knowing that it's probably the worst thing you will do all day. In the book Eat That Frog, Brian Tracy uses this same metaphor for tackling the most challenging task of your day, the one that you're most likely to procrastinate on, but also the one that might have the greatest positive impact on your life. Eat That Frog shows you how to prioritize your tasks so these critical tasks come clearly into focus. From the first day you try Brian Tracy's method of task prioritization using the ABCDE method, and then tackling the biggest A task first, you will immediately notice a massive change in your productivity. It really happens that fast. You'll not only get more done faster, but you will get the right things done. Brian Tracy cuts to the core of what is vital to effective personal time management. It's about decision, discipline, and determination. This book is a very quick read, but it will make a giant impact in moving you forward in the workplace. Since the first time I read it about 10 years ago, I have frequently recommended to my team that we need to eat that frog when I know there is something big we need to do that we have been putting off. Day after day and year after year, every time I eat my frogs first, I always take a big leap forward in my mental state, my task list, my career, and my overall well-being. I can tell you this book will motivate you to get that one task done you've been dreading. The one you know you have to do. It is amazing how your productivity will soar from that point on. This book is full of tips and tricks to increase your productivity as well. If you want to read this book, click through the show notes and you'll find a link there.
We genuinely want to know what you're thinking. This is the section where you ask questions. Let us know what's on your mind or just say hello. Are you driven to succeed? Then email us at genuinedrivenwomen, that's women, WOMEN, at gmail.com or call us at 724-DRIVEN, the number 2. In other words, that's 724-374-8362 and leave us a voicemail. We will use your voicemails on a future podcast. We look forward to hearing from you. The Genuine Driven Women podcast is produced every week for your inspiration, education, and enjoyment. The show notes and so much more can be found at genuinedrivenwomen.com. Please subscribe to this show via iTunes and Stitcher to receive ongoing weekly motivation to turn your dreams into goals and to reach your version of success. We'd love for you to take a couple minutes to write a review on iTunes, which will help us to reach our goal to connect with girls, young ladies, and women who need just this kind of inspiration every week. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/genuine-driven-women. There you can join the conversation, get to know us better, and find out about all the new things that we will be announcing in the months to come. Okay, ladies, it's time to get out there and be the best you that you can be. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.